We're just under a month away from Ipswich Town's first Premier League season in 22 years. But how do I expect the Blues to approach the forthcoming campaign?
We are going up! We are going up! And we are going up! We are going up! And we are going up!
Good morning, afternoon or evening, depending on whenever you're watching. My name is Harvey Bell, an Ipswich Town supporting content creator on the road to 1,000 subscribers. So if you do go on to enjoy today's video, please do subscribe and leave a like on the video down below. Now, I think the first step to trying to work out how Ipswich Town are going to approach the forthcoming Premier League season is to first work out what they want to get out from it. Now, as a fan, it would be very easy for me to sit here and say, I hope we stay up this season and then in 3 or 4 years push for Europe. But ultimately, it's not a fan's game as much as it used to be, and it's far more business orientated than it ever has been. There's lots of people with stakes in the club who actually get into the Premier League, and staying there is fundamental to their investment. And that will massively dictate how we approach the next campaign. Do you, A, go up and build a squad that is capable of challenging in the bottom end of the Premier League and will actually, if you were to go down, still challenge at the top end of the Championship for years to come, like Sheffield United and Norwich have done, establishing themselves as clubs that go up and down across the last decade? Or do you go up, spend a lot of money like Wolves did, establish yourself as a Premier League club, but run the risk that actually, if it didn't work out and it did blow up in your face a little bit, that you come back down with players on massive Premier League wages that you ultimately can't afford to pay? Now, we as Ipswich fans have, of course, seen this. There was lots of criticism in 2002 when we spent lots of money on players and then did come back down, and that was largely a lot of what caused us to maybe not challenge to go back right up right away. And ultimately, that doesn't excuse the next 20 years of just a couple of seasons in the playoffs and never really looking like returning. Of course, the stint in League One, but that's old ground. We're now back in the Premier League, and I trust that actually the club will look at that and they won't want history to repeat itself here. And if you look at our transfer business, I think that we are doing a little bit of both of those approaches. The players that we've signed are all under the age of 25. Omari Hutchinson, Ben Johnson, Liam Delap and Jacob Greaves are all of an age that they can still develop massively. They aren't players that have got loads and loads of Premier League experience, let's be honest, but they are players that have been playing in the top end of the Championship and have been delivering week in, week out. Ben Johnson, the exception, of course, there with a lot of Premier League experience under his belt. But at the same time, the money we've spent, which I think to date is somewhere around 55 million, is not screaming out to me as an amount of money that you'd pay if you were building to compete in the Championship. It's the sort of money that you're spending if you do want to go and challenge in the Premier League. And I think that's what we're going to do, because Mark Ashton has already said we're not going up there to make up the numbers. And why would we? Because ultimately, you look at our squad, it's a young squad, it's a squad that massively exceeded expectations in the Championship. So they will be thinking to themselves, why can't we go and do it again in the Premier League? And I think the tactical approach is going to be key if we are going to really try and push on in the Premier League this season. And one thing that really annoys me over the last few years when I watch newly promoted clubs to the Premier League is that they try and play the same brand of football that they played in the Championship in the top flight. And it doesn't work. Football is moving on now, we know that. A lot of teams play out from the back. Ipswich have done it in League One, we've done it in the Championship. It's easy on the eye, it's really good to watch. We've scored so many goals and it's really, really exciting. But we are going to have to change it up on occasions. I think the biggest example that I can look at here is Sean Dyche's team. When he was in charge of Burnley, they never really looked like they were going to go down, albeit they were at the bottom end of the table. And they stayed up for much longer than they should have done because he didn't conform to the way that the Premier League made teams play. He was still direct. He played long balls. It wasn't the prettiest football to watch, but what it was effective. They got the goals that they needed to win games. And yes, they might not have won 3 or 4-0, but they got the points. And I'm not saying now that Ipswich should, only play long balls and we should only play a really boring brand of football because that's all that's going to work. I'm not saying that at all. But what I am saying is it would be naive for us to go up and carry on playing constantly out of the back when actually every single team in the Premier League already does that, and they've been doing it for a lot longer than we have and at a higher level. Kieran McKenna knows this. Kieran McKenna has prepared for Premier League opposition before as assistant manager at Manchester United, and I do suspect that he's watched loads and loads of tape on different Premier League teams from last season. So I'm not sitting here trying to tell Kieran McKenna how to manage the team, but I do just expect that we will massively change up the way that we're going to play. And I think that we have got the squad to do it. I think if you looked at our squad now, you might expect people like Ali Al-Hamidi to go out on loan. You might expect Marcus Harness to possibly move on, but I don't think they should. I think they are the key to making sure that we actually cause a few upsets in the Premier League this season, because the Premier League are not used to it. As I just said, the Premier League is a league where they play out from the back. Everyone plays out from the back. Everybody plays neat football. So why not utilise the fact that we've come up from League One in the space of 2 seasons and use our different style of football, our different squad of attributes to actually really try and disrupt the flow of the Premier League. Imagine this, Ali Al-Hamidi just causing havoc really on the Premier League. I can see it because he's different to what's already there. He's not your striker who's going to come on and create loads of chances and spray passes left, right and centre. He's somebody that's going to come on, run at people, get in their way, get in their face. And we've got a squad full of players that can do that because we have been playing different the last 2 seasons. Whilst we have been playing out from the back, we've been doing it in completely different settings. So take what we've learned from them and apply it to a Premier League setting. And I think you have the formula there for something different in the Premier League. And I think that's how you start to bridge the gap. I mean, last season, you look at Burnley, Sheffield United and Luton, the 3 teams that went up the season before, came back down. And that's because, bar for Luton, who put up quite a big fight, Burnley and Sheffield United tried to play the same football that they did in the Championship. And it doesn't work because the teams have done it better and they've done it for longer. That's not to say we're not going to do it, because I think we will. And we should, because we've got players that when we need to, we can play nice football. But don't be shy to mix it up. We've got the players to do it. And we've got players that are willing to learn. So McKenna has a blank book, really, in the sense that the players that he's got, 23, 24, 25 years old, they're completely bought in to what he wants the team to become. So why not utilise that? And let's do something different in the Premier League. And I think that's how we do well. But whatever happens, let's be honest, it's going to be a really exciting season. We have to manage our expectations a bit. Who knows how we're going to do? But we're in the Premier League. We're going to be playing some of the best teams in the world. And ultimately, Ipswich Town are back in the top flight. That is about it from me for today's video. I appreciate this is a bit of a different one and it's completely subjective. But let me know down in the comments how you expect Ipswich Town to do this season. And I will see you in the next one. Thanks for watching.